The world grew quiet. The echoes of the crowd, the cries and chaos of the day, faded into a heavy, aching stillness. The world grew quieter still. Even the wind seemed to pause, as if nature itself was holding its breath. The sky, once dark at midday, softened as afternoon faded. Light crept back over the city, but it brought no comfort, only the reminder of what had been lost. On a hill outside Jerusalem, the cross stood empty. Jesus of Nazareth was gone. The place that had witnessed such agony was now silent, marked only by the shadow of the cross. His followers, shattered and silent, watched from afar. They clung to each other, searching for answers in their grief. Hope felt lost. Grief hung heavy in the air. Every face was marked by sorrow, every heart weighed down by despair. Joseph of Arimathea, risking his reputation and standing, asked Pilate for Jesus' body. It was an act of courage and compassion, done in the face of fear and uncertainty. With Nicodemus, he gently took Jesus down, wrapped him in linen, and anointed him with spices. Their hands worked with reverence, honoring the one they had loved and followed. In a nearby garden, a new tomb waited, unused, carved from stone. It was a place of rest, chosen with care and sorrow. They laid Jesus there, sealing the entrance with a massive stone. The finality of the moment pressed upon them, as if hope itself had been locked away. The women, including Mary Magdalene, watched as the tomb was closed. Their tears fell quietly, their hearts breaking with every passing moment. Their world had collapsed, their teacher was gone. They gathered together, united in sorrow, unsure of what the future would hold. As Sabbath approached, they returned home, hearts aching, minds confused. The streets were empty, the city subdued by loss. There was nothing left to do but wait. Time seemed to stand still, each moment stretching into the next. The city was hushed, the future uncertain. Behind closed doors, whispers of fear and longing filled the night. The silence was profound, as if the world itself mourned. All creation seemed to grieve the loss of hope. The story seemed over, but something unimaginable was about to begin. In the darkness, a quiet anticipation stirred. The tomb was sealed, but hope was not truly buried. Beneath the stone, a promise waited to be revealed. The world held its breath, unaware of what would come next. In the silence, the seeds of a miracle were quietly taking root. While Jesus' body rested in the tomb, his spirit began a new journey. Ancient belief held that after death souls entered Sheol or Hades, a shadowy realm of waiting, not punishment. All souls, righteous and unrighteous, awaited there, separated from God. Jesus descended into this realm, not as a captive, but with purpose. He entered the silence where Adam, Eve, Abraham, and the prophets waited. His presence brought light to a place defined by absence. This descent showed that no darkness is beyond God's reach. Jesus' mission was not finished at the cross. He confronted death itself. His journey into Hades was the next step in a cosmic rescue. Even in death's deepest shadow, hope was stirring. In the realm of the dead, Jesus was not passive. The Apostle Peter wrote that Jesus proclaimed a message to the spirits in prison. These were souls from ancient times, even those from Noah's day, waiting in darkness. Jesus' proclamation was not a second chance, but a declaration of victory. For some, it was liberation. For others, confirmation of judgment. He asserted his authority as Lord of both living and dead. No one was forgotten. Every soul was accounted for. His voice echoed through Sheol, changing it forever. The darkness could not overcome his light. Jesus' journey was purposeful, bringing hope to the forgotten. The silent halls of death were filled with the news of his triumph. The story of salvation reached even the deepest shadows. Early Christians called this the harrowing of hell, a dramatic rescue that echoed through the ages. It was a story of hope and liberation, whispered in the shadows and celebrated in the light. Jesus broke into Hades not as a victim, but as a conquering king, radiating authority and purpose. He entered the realm of the dead with power, not fear, determined to change the fate of all who waited there. He shattered the gates, broke the chains, and led the captives free. The darkness trembled as his presence brought light and hope to those trapped for generations. Adam and Eve, Abraham, Moses, heroes and ancestors of faith, were among those he rescued, their faces filled with awe and gratitude. And the righteous, who had long awaited deliverance, were lifted from darkness into the promise of new life. Their long wait was over. Jesus led them in a triumphant procession to paradise, their chains left behind, their burdens finally lifted. This was not defeat, but the defeat of death itself. Light overcame darkness, and hope was reborn. The grave became a waiting place, not a prison. Its doors stood open, transformed by the promise of resurrection. Jesus' victory was a source of hope for all believers, a reminder that no darkness is final, and no prison eternal. Death's power was broken from the inside, its grip shattered by love and sacrifice. The story united all of God's people, past and future, in one act of rescue, a single, unbroken chain of redemption. The harrowing of hell explained the meaning of the days between death and resurrection, filling them with purpose and hope. It was the ultimate triumph, freedom for the captives, and a promise that liberation would come to all who believe. Jesus' descent is the story of breaking death's chains. For ages, death was an unbreakable barrier, no one returned. Jesus entered Hades as its conqueror, not its victim. Early Christians imagined death and Hades trembling at his arrival. His divine life was a weapon death could not withstand. By rising, Jesus turned the grave from a dead end into a doorway. His victory opened paradise for all who trust in him. This liberation is not just about the afterlife. It's freedom from fear, guilt, and despair now. No darkness is too deep for God's light. Jesus' victory is a promise of hope and courage for every believer. The chains of death and despair are broken. The message freedom and hope are possible for all. Imagine the righteous souls, Abraham, Moses, the prophets, waiting in hope. They trusted God's promises, even in the shadows of Sheol. Jesus' arrival was the dawn they longed for. He fulfilled every prophecy, bringing light to their darkness. God's faithfulness reached back through time, uniting all who lived in faith. The heroes of old were the first to share in resurrection's victory. For Christians, this is comfort. No act of faith is forgotten. The hope of the righteous is never disappointed. Above, the world was still, silent, holding its breath as the first rays of sunlight crept over the horizon. The darkness of night slowly faded, and the first day of the week began, bringing with it a sense of anticipation and mystery. Mary Magdalene and other women made their way to the tomb, hearts heavy with grief, hands full of spices and hope, determined to honor the one they loved. They worried about the stone blocking the entrance, but when they arrived, they found it already rolled away, as if by unseen hands. Inside, the linen cloths lay empty on the stone slab. Jesus' body was gone, leaving only questions and wonder in its place. Suddenly, radiant angels appeared before them, their presence filling the tomb with light. They asked, "Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here. He has risen. Remember how he told you this would happen?" In that moment, the women remembered Jesus' words. Suddenly, everything made sense. This was resurrection, the promise fulfilled. His spirit had returned, but his body was transformed, glorified beyond earthly understanding, shining with new life. Death was defeated, hope was reborn. The impossible had become reality, and the world would never be the same. The dawn of Sunday was the dawn of a new creation, a new beginning for all humanity. The grave had lost its victory, its power broken forever by love and faith. The world's sorrow turned to astonishment and joy as hope blossomed where despair once grew. The impossible had happened. Life triumphed over death, and love conquered the grave. The story was not over, it was just beginning. Resurrection changed everything, and a new hope dawned for the world. The resurrection is the cornerstone of Christian faith, the ultimate victory. Death became a doorway, not an end. The empty tomb is history's greatest symbol of hope. Because Jesus conquered the grave, believers share in his resurrection. Death is no longer to be feared, it's a passage to new life. Forgiveness and a new beginning are offered to all. Jesus' journey through death and Hades brought freedom to captives, past and present. Every Sunday celebrates this victory. Because he lives, so shall all who trust in him. This is the foundation of hope, faith, and unshakable joy.